Good morning. I feel very blessed and welcomed, and I brought my iPhone because I talked too long last time. So that's why that's happening there. I wanted to share with you this morning a little bit about something that I think is one of the reasons why I'm a poet, and that's the way that I walk about in the world. And the late philosopher-poet John O'Donohue, some lines that he wrote go like this. We seldom notice how each day is a holy place where the Eucharist of the ordinary happens. We seldom notice how each day is a holy place where the Eucharist of the ordinary happens. And one of the reasons I love that is because of that word notice. And what poets do is they notice. They're paying close attention and they're being aware. And I think actually there's a little bit of poet in each of us. And one of the things that being a member of this community helps me do is to take notice. I moved here from, I had lived here earlier in the 80s and 90s and moved away and came back in 2006. And I had started a business, and it was successful, and it was fun, and I was traveling all over the place. And but I didn't really have much of a community. And I grew up in the Episcopal Church, and I loved the ritual and the repetition and the way that light filtered through stained glass windows, and I thought that was very sacred and very holy. And I didn't leave that church because I was betrayed or felt like a refugee or anything like that. It just became, I felt like it wasn't big enough for the questions that I had. And so I was working in Tacoma with a client, and I had gone down there to do some interviews, and I was sitting with a woman, and she was telling me about this spiritual community she belonged to, and that she really liked it. And I was having this thought in the back of my mind, like, why is she telling me this? Because I wasn't asking her anything about her spiritual beliefs or anything like that, right? So as she was talking about this, and I was listening, but I was kind of half listening because I was a little confused. She finally stopped herself and said, you know, you should go there because you talk like them. And I had no idea what she meant or to what she was referring or anything like that. But I got really curious a few weeks later and decided that I would contact her and say, well, so what is this church where you think that I talk like the people there? And so the first time that I came to service here, Garnet and Jonathan sang the prayer. And I just kind of sat in the back where I never sit now, but you know, I sat in the back and just wept because it was so incredibly beautiful, and I felt like I was home. And I really appreciate this community and all that it offers precisely because it helps me take notice. Whether it is the practices that we learn, whether it's the classes that we take. I've been on trips with CSL. I participate in the business ministry. And I mean, if you haven't had your business and work life blessed by Sharon Ramey, it's time, because she's amazing. Yeah. And I realized that my business had grown. My business revenues grew 10 times in 5 years. And in fact, I think I got to come and talk about that a little bit because I had set that intention one year. And so last year was the first time ever that my business revenues dropped. Oh, that wasn't with the noise I wanted, but okay. That was almost timed perfectly, that my business revenues dropped, you know. So the reason I wanted to tell you that is because when I first came to CSL, I thought it was all about just being blissed out all the time. If I could possibly just feel the way I did when I came here on Sundays, then it would be perfect. And so the great thing about actually having a business that dropped in revenues last year and figuring out that maybe it actually wasn't me, that's something I didn't do anything wrong, was that I leaned into my friends, I leaned into my Sangha, I leaned into Spirit, and realized that all of it is mine. And that living this spiritual life in a human body is all about noticing things and paying attention, and every practice that we need in order to pay attention. And the reason that I take poetry into businesses and work with my clients is because I feel like it's one of the things, like music and like other art forms and meditation, that you simply cannot be anywhere else if you want to be in that. And so I think that we need places to practice that, and I think practicing those here is a great gift of this community. So if I could just, I'm going to do one little poem here at the end, and then I'll be way shorter than I was last service. So this is called Somehow. Somehow I knew it would be like this. A few moments stolen before a vermilion sunset. A bottle of Barolo shared with a great friend, knowing it wasn't the loveless marriage I feared, but not to notice the late afternoon light, the curve of the waitress face, my own face, softened by weeks in Tuscany, surrendering what's to come. There would be parking tickets, bills to pay, an inbox with 14,000 meaningless spam, laundry, taxes, pigeons roosting on the roof. There would be dahlias surprisingly blooming in the back garden and some plant that looks like an artichoke but isn't. There would be love, and then there wouldn't. There would be the absurd chorus of power tools on a sunny Saturday, and then delicate birdsong. All of it is mine. Which is why I rise early in the pre-dawn before anyone or anything can tell me otherwise. And I send this wish out over the rooftops, the mountains in the distance, pink with hope and honor. Let me be able for this. Let me say yes or say no, but let me say it now. Whatever comes in, dark or light, I give myself up to the joy of every tiny thing. Thank you.